Guys, we're going to go ahead and start chapter 7, and we're going to basically give you an introduction. So, intro to equations. We've been talking about expressions this entire year so far, and now we're going to actually come up with equations. So I'm going to do a little bit of a Venn diagram, and we're going to compare equations to expressions. We're going to see what's unique for each one, and then what do they have that's the same. So I'm going to draw some circles. Ooh, that's not a very pretty circle, is it? Alright, so we're going to do equations off to the left since he's new. And we'll do expressions on the right because we've already done him. And so what's going to be in those outer part of the circles is what's unique to each one of them. And then what we're going to put in the center is what they have that's the same. So let's start with our equations. Actually, let's start with our expressions since we've done them. So an expression is definitely a phrase. It's not a complete statement. It's just a portion of something that's going on. There's no equal sign at all. We can't solve it unless somebody tells us what the variable equals, right? So that's what I'm going to write here. We can solve the expression only if, oh, that looks terrible. That's what happens when I draw my circle so badly. Only if the value of the variable is given. So if I read a sentence like 4 more than a number, so then I translated x plus 4, that's all I can do unless somebody says, oh, how about x equals 8? Then I can substitute that in and solve. Okay, let's talk about equations. So it is not a phrase, it's a sentence. It's like got full punctuation, it can stand on its own. It has an equal sign, that's why it's called an equation. And because of the equal sign, that means I actually get to solve for the variable or unknown. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Now, I know you're going to be tempted to guess what the answer is, but we're teaching you a process and you got to learn the process. All right, so what's the same between the two? Well, they both can contain numbers. They both contain operations. And by that I mean adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. And they can both contain variables. Now, expressions can be just numerical, but equations cannot. They have to have a variable involved. Okay, so I'm going to write out some vocab words, which of course, you know, every time we start a chapter, we got new vocab words, right? So we're going to talk about equations, and you might say, well, didn't we just talk about them? Well, I was talking about them in a comparison sense. Now I'm going to write the definition of an equation, or let's make it an equation, not just equations. There we go, equation. So it's going to be a mathematical sentence. So I'm trying to distinguish that from like an English sentence, right? Mathematical sentence that shows two expressions are equal to each other. Okay, so for example, we can say 5 plus x equals 13. So you might say, well, wait a second, that right side's just a number. But remember, an expression can be a number, a variable, or a combination of numbers and variables. Okay, so that's okay to be just a number alone. So what would be a solution to an equation. So let's talk about that. Solution is a number that makes an equation true. So in other words, what's on the left equals what's on the right. Now, I'm going to show you, and this is the only time that we're ever going to deal with this idea. So we've got our 5 plus x equals 13. So you probably could guess the number. Now here's the deal. When it comes to what we're going to be doing in this chapter, there will be no guessing, there will be solving. So I'm sure you can say, well, I know that 5 plus 8 is 13. And so to prove it, I would add the left. 5 plus 8 is 13. On the right it says 13, and that is true. So what we would conclude is that 8, if x, oh, let me try that again. If x equals 8, and only 8 in this case, the equation is true. Okay, so our conclusion is 8 is the solution to this equation. Okay? Now, in the textbook, I'm going to write over to the left here, you will hear or read the word mentally. Okay? That doesn't mean guess the number that goes in the place of x. You still have to show work. Okay? So it always makes me nervous to give this lesson because then everybody thinks that they get to do things this way. So let's say we have no skills. Well, right now we don't, so that's okay. So we're going to employ a method called guess and check method. So what do you do in the guess and check method? You're going to pick a number. Now, sometimes you're going to be given a group of numbers and you got to try all of them, okay? So pick a number that you think will substitute for the variable, so it takes the place of the variable. Substitute in for the variable. And make a true sentence. In other words, the left side of the equation is equal to the right side. Okay? If the guess is incorrect, pick another number and substitute it in. So what I want you to get to, substitute it in to the equation. What I want you to do is not just willy-nilly guess numbers, okay? What I want you to do is to look at what you got. If the number you picked gave the side with the variable a larger value than what's on the right side, then I want you to think, okay, picking a number bigger is just going to make it even bigger. So I'm going to try something smaller. So that's what I call guess and check intelligently. So use the result to help you figure out the next step, the next number to guess. Okay? All right, we're going to do a couple of examples. So I got to go to my next slide. And the directions are going to say, and you'll be doing this in the practice, check the following numbers. and this is not mentally, you got to do it on the paper, to see if there is a solution to the equation. Okay, so here's the problem you have. Is 3, 4, or 5 a solution of the equation a plus 7 equals 11? Okay, so we're going to test them. So I'm going to show you how to kind of organize your data in a table. This is just a way to do things. So value of A is going to be in our first. Then we're going to have the equation where we're going to do our work, substitute it in, and then we're going to determine whether that's true or false. So if it's true, it's a solution. If it's false, it's not a solution. Now, at this point, the types of equations we're going to be doing are going to be simple, and there should be only one equation, or one solution, excuse me. However, in just a little bit of time, you'll have equations, not this year, but in other years, you will have equations that have more than one correct answer. Yeah, tricky, I know. So here's what we do. We're going to try 3 in for the A, and then see if we get something that's true or false. So let's see, 3 plus 7 is 10, and 10 doesn't equal 11. So that's false. So that says 3 is not a solution. 3 is not a solution. Okay, that's what that gets interpreted as. All right, so let's try 4. And if you noticed, my guess got me lower than where I wanted it to be, so going higher seems like a better gig, even though I didn't have a choice because 4 is bigger than 3. So let's see, 4 plus 7 is 11, so 11 equals 11. That's true, so then we'd say 4 is the solution. Okay. Now, let's just try out 5 so you can see what happens. So we have 5 plus 7 equals 11, and we get 12, and that's definitely not equal to 11. So notice my guess was too high, right? So we would say it's false, and we would say 5 is not a solution. Okay. So we're going to do another problem. I'm going to turn off the screen, and I'm going to write it down, and then I'll turn it back on, and then you can pause it, and then you can write it down, and then we'll go further with the question. Okay, so here's the problem. Go ahead and pause, write it down, and when you're ready, we'll go back and work on it together. All right, so the total cost of a pair of skates and knee pads is $63. Now, me, personally, I need elbow pads, knee pads, and wrist guards because I'm that bad of a skater. The skates cost $45. Use the guess, check, and this is the be intelligent part, revise strategy. So revise means based on the guess you took and the answer it gave you, be smart about how you choose your next number. Don't just willy-nilly pick. To solve the equation, 45 plus k equals 63. To find k, the cost of the knee pads. Okay, so we're going to start with that equation. All right, and then I'm just going to pick a guess. Let's try 15. So I'm going to substitute in 15 in for k and see if I get something that's true or false. And in addition, how do I need to adjust? So let's see, 45 plus 15 is 60. Ooh, so 60 is not equal to 63. So I'm going to need to take another guess. So I'm going to guess higher than 60. Why? Because I need to get from 60 up to 63. Okay, so this is where we revise. So let's talk about that briefly. So you're going to try the number that is, and let's get super analytical on this one. So not only is 60 smaller than 63, it's smaller by 3. So I'm going to guess that if I picked a number 3 more than my guess of 15, I should get the right answer. Okay, so try the number that is 3 more. Okay, 3 more than 15, since 63 is 3 more than 60. Okay, so that's what we're going to do with the guess and check and revise strategy. Okay, so then that takes us to 15 plus 3 would give us 18. So then we're going to say, all right, 45 plus 18, and does that equal 63? So let's test it out. Let's see, we get 8 and 5 is 13, carry the 1, 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 4 is 6. Ha ha ha. So we figured it out. Now here's the deal. Please don't tell me the answer is 63. The answer is the number I substituted in for the unknown. So we would say the knee pads cost $18. Now, I've been noticing on homework you guys have been forgetting to add your labels to your answers. Don't forget your labels. Okay? All right, there you go, guys. We'll talk about this in class together tomorrow. Bye now.